There's no question she's got a great deal of momentum. She has gained a large number of delegates. She's appealing to a broad cross-section of the electorate. I think she is very much in a strong position to achieve the nomination. I think, you know, in the end, I think the American people are going to have to look at the candidates for president and decide two very important things. Number one, who can govern, who can break the gridlock in Washington and try to get both Republicans and Democrats working together to deal with the serious issues facing this country, and two, who can provide the world leadership that we absolutely need to deal with a very dangerous world. Those are the two fundamental tests that the American people ought to ask themselves as they cast a vote for president in November.
Yeah, I think these are two very important questions, and I'm going to get to Donald Trump in a minute, sir. But before I do, I've got to ask you about this email scandal, because it hasn't hurt Hillary all that much in terms of the public's perception. But I ask you, as the former director of the CIA and former defense secretary, would having a separate email server in your home using email away from government put the country's national security at risk?
Well, Maria, you're asking the wrong guy, because I never used emails at the time I was in government, neither as chief of staff or CIA director or secretary of defense.
I guess for a reason,
I'm not familiar
Secretary?
with all of the particulars here. But I think she's admitted that it wasn't something she should have done. You know, the bottom line is that I don't think this email issue is going to be decisive in terms of how voters decide to vote for president of the United States.
All right, let me move on, because you just raised two important questions for the American people. I want to ask you about Donald Trump. He has a resounding lead on the Republican side of the race. We know that. Should he become the nominee and get elected, would he run into any hurdles finding qualified people to fill his cabinet, do you think?
Well, you know, his history is not one of kind of reaching out to people. He kind of has a tremendous amount of confidence in his own opinions, and that's been pretty clear as we've gone through this campaign. You know, whether or not he's going to be willing to reach out and do that remains to be seen. My bigger concern is whether or not somebody like this, who's been very divisive, has been insulting to candidates, has been you know, attacking people on a personal basis, attacking people because of their race, whether somebody who appeals to the worst in the American people can suddenly go to Washington as President of the United States and be able to deal with Congress, to deal with those you have to deal with in the world in order to be able to resolve issues. Our forefathers did not design a constitution that supports authoritarianism or tyranny in our government. Our forefathers designed a constitution that provides a system of checks and balances. So any president that goes to Washington is going to have to deal with 535 members of Congress, have to deal with others in the country, have to deal with leaders in the world if they're going to have any chance of being able to lead this country. Does he have the ability to do that? I'm not so sure.
So how would you react if he reached out to you to join his cabinet?
Oh, that I think is never going to happen. You know, I would not want to join an administration of a president who ran for office by trying to divide the American people. I think this country needs a tremendous amount of healing right now. I think we've got to bring people together, not divide them, and that's exactly how he's campaigning. And I think, you know, that's something we have never done in our history, is elect a president who has tried to divide this country through hate and through insults and through racism. I just think that's something this country has never stooped to in the past and hopefully will not stoop to in the future.
I guess what I'm saying is you could have almost seen this coming, right? I mean, people are angry. Donald Trump is resonating and tapping into that anger because they feel that nothing's been done. They feel that they were sold a bill of goods on Obamacare, and all of a sudden their prices for health care have shot up, and it was nothing like what they expected. There were a lot of executive orders out of the Obama administration, immigration, Obama Obamacare, and then the Iran deal. People are angry. They feel that, you know, the Republicans have gotten rolled over. So you could have seen Donald Trump or this kind of ilk coming, almost like the president sort of put him on a silver platter for both parties.
Look, there's no question there's a lot of anger and frustration out there. And frankly, there's a lot of blame to go around for both parties. It isn't just the president. It's obviously people, the leadership in Congress, members of the Congress. No one has been willing to come together and try to resolve the issues facing this country. So, yeah, there's a lot of anger and there's a lot of frustration in the country. I understand that. I've sensed it wherever I've gone in the country. But when you're president of the United States, the key is not to further divide the country. The key is not to suddenly insult people or to create even additional hatred in our country. The key is to try to bring people together so that we operate as a country, working together to try to resolve these issues. And clearly a candidate who's only appealing to the divisiveness in our society is not somebody, I think, who ultimately can bring this country together.
Well,
that's the bottom line.
I seem to remember...
We have got to unify
I seem to remember a comment by Secretary Clinton when she was asked, who is the enemy? She said it's the Republicans.
You know, look, there is a divide in this country. That's why Washington is dysfunctional. But it's not enough for us to just sit back and decide and say, well, I guess that's the way we're going to be, and have another 4 years of paralysis, because that's not going to help America. That produces an America in decline. So candidates have to talk about how they're willing to unify this country. That's what Hillary Clinton is trying to do. That's what other candidates like Rubio are trying to do, is to talk about how you can bring this country together. That is what we need if we're going to have a president that can deal with the challenges we face not only here but in the world. I don't want this country. I'm the son of Italian immigrants. I don't want this country to become further divided in dealing with the challenges that we're facing in the 21st century. I want a country that can give my children a better life in the future. Yeah. And I don't see that happening with somebody like Trump.